We're going to talk about how you can build a responsive two-panel layout for a mobile application. So let's start out by showing a typical two-panel design in an iPhone. So you can see here we're looking at my iPhone, and we're looking here at the iOS email application, and right now we're looking at a single panel because my phone is in portrait mode. But when I move my phone into landscape mode, you can see that we now have a two-panel layout. We have a list on the left hand side that shows our email, and on the right hand side we show some type of detailed view. So this is what we call a two-panel responsive layout. So when there's not enough room, only one panel is shown, but when there is enough room, two panels are shown. So let's go and see now how this pattern is accomplished in the UX Builder. So you can see that we have over here the UX component that shows two panels, a left-hand panel with a yellow background and a right-hand panel with the green background. And right now we're in landscape mode, so we're seeing both panels. But now when we switch to vertical mode, you can see that now there's not enough room to show both panels, so only the left-hand panel is shown. And then when we want to bring the right-hand panel into focus, we click a button which executes a panel set active event, and then the right-hand panel comes into view, and then you can see here that the back button will take me back to the left-hand panel. But the back button, which is shown now, is not shown when both panels are visible simultaneously. So you can see now when both panels are simultaneously visible, the back button that was over there is no longer needed, so it's no longer shown. So let's go now to the builder and see how this was all set up. So you can see here that we have our two panel cards. There's the first panel card over there, and there's the second panel card. So in a typical application you might have, say, a list control on panel card 1, and then the detailed view for that list on panel card 2. Then you can see now, if we go look at the various settings that we've used here, we've gone to panel card 1 and we've said that this panel has a fixed size of 300 pixels. So, and then we've gone to panel card 2, and now we've said that it has a minimum size of 300 pixels. So we didn't choose, in this case, we didn't choose the layout size property, we chose the minimum size property. So that means that since panel card 1 is always going to take 300 pixels, and since panel card 2 has a minimum size of 300 pixels, that means that both panels can only be shown if the screen width is 600 pixels or more. So if the screen size is only, say, 500 pixels wide, then the first panel, the left-hand panel, which has a fixed size of 300 pixels, will consume the first 300 pixels, leaving 200 pixels left over, which is not enough space to show panel card 2. Therefore panel card 2 will be hidden. So that's why when I go now into my vertical mode now, so in this mode, in this horizontal mode, the total width of the screen exceeded 600 pixels, but when I switch now to vertical mode, the width of the screen now does not exceed 600 pixels, so therefore only panel card number 1 is shown. So now, in order to bring panel card number 2, the right-hand panel, into focus, when I click this button over here, I can see that the code on this button is the panel set active event. So this could have been done using Action JavaScript, using the panel.set active action. So this is how we cause the right-hand panel to come into focus. And then you'll see in the right-hand panel we have a button in the panel header, and the action on this button is to set focus to panel card number 1, the left-hand panel. But we need to make sure that this button is only shown when panel card 1, the left-hand panel, is hidden. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video, where we'll show how this button's visibility is dynamically controlled. So we're continuing now with our discussion on the two-panel responsive layout, and we're discussing how this back button is only shown if panel card 1 is hidden when panel card 2 is shown. So let's go now to the panel layout, and you can see here that in the panel layout there's a property that says has previous card button. So we've checked that property, and we've said that the previous card button is this button called back button. So you can see that this back button has an ID of back button, and here in the controller we've said that the previous card button is called back button. So that means that the back button will only be shown if there is a previous card. So if panel card 1 and panel card 2 are both visible, in other words, if the left hand panel and the right hand panel are both visible, then there is no previous panel. But if panel card 1, the left hand panel, is initially shown, and then a button is clicked to bring panel card 2, the right hand panel, into visibility, then there will be at that point a previous panel, which will be of course the left hand panel, and then the button that controls the visibility of that panel will automatically become visible. So there's no code that you need to write to control the visibility of this navigation button. It just happens automatically. So what we've shown in this video is how you can very easily create a two-panel responsive layout in the UX component that is very similar to the pattern that you see, say, in an iOS application when we looked at the native email application on an iPhone 6 Plus. Thanks very much for watching. Addendum to the previous videos on the two-panel responsive layout videos, and in that previous set of videos we showed how the back button worked when you were working in a mode where only one panel was being displayed. So you can see that when we go here to the portrait mode, only one panel is displayed, and so when we switch to the right hand panel, the back button becomes enabled, and then when you click it, it goes back to the first panel. And in the previous video we showed how we had put an event handler on the back button to set focus back to panel card number 1. But in actual fact, the event handler is unnecessary, and the reason that it's unnecessary is we've gone to the panel layout here, and we've said that this panel layout has a previous card button, and we've bound that to the back button over here, and this binding over here automatically gives this button the correct action. So you can see that now there is no event on the button's click. There's no event defined for the button's click handler, but it still works. So when we go here and then the button becomes enabled, and when I click there we go back to the first panel. So that behavior is inherent in setting the previous card property over here. So also, I should point out that in this particular case we've defined this previous card button at the panel layout level, which means that all of the panel cards that are children of this panel layout will inherit this behavior. But if I were to go to this individual panel card here, we can see that we could also have defined the previous card button over here. So either would have worked in this particular case. So let's just quickly go over here, turn this off right now. So now when we go to the right hand panel, this back button does nothing, and then we'll go to panel card 2 here, and we'll say there's a previous button, and we'll choose the back button, and now again you'll see that when we go to the right hand panel, the back button is now working, and then when we go to a horizontal layout, you can see that the back button is hidden. So in summary, the back button event handler is automatically defined when you use this pattern of specifying that a panel a panel card or a panel navigator or panel layout has a previous card button. Thanks very much for watching.